Today on Green Disruptors, I'm joined by Dan Tietema, founder of OrganiCycle's, a West Michigan-based company on a mission to keep food, paper, and yard waste out of landfills and turn it into nutrient-rich compost. What started in 2011 as a hauling service has grown into a full-fledged composting operation that serves both residential and commercial customers, while educating communities on how to reduce waste and build a more sustainable future. Dan shares his entrepreneurial journey, the unexpected challenges that pushed him into making compost himself, and why composting is one of the most powerful and practical climate solutions we have today. Hi, Dan. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Of course. So tell us a little bit first before we talk about OrganiCycle. Let's talk about you. So what's your background?
Well, my background is in entrepreneurship. I started my first business in 1995. I live here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And when we started seeing high levels of lead in our water, I decided to start a bottled water company. And I did that for about 5 years. And in 2000, we started seeing needles washing up on the shores of Lake Michigan and some of the Great Lakes. So I started a medical waste management company and did that for about 9 years. And then being in the waste industry for that time, you get to see what's going on in terms of niches and what people are really concerned about. And in around 2010, big conversation was our landfills are reaching capacity, and they are presenting major problems with our community. And one of the big issues, or one of the big items in our landfills that could easily be removed, is food waste. And so OrganiCycle's started in 2011 with the idea of diverting organic material, which is food, paper, yard waste, out of the landfills to be composted into soil to be used by farmers.
And you had never composted in your life when you started this idea, right?
What's that?
You had never composted before.
Oh goodness! Oh no. This was strictly going to be a clean business. You know, when I had the medical waste company, that was a business that would collect needles and medical waste, but it was done very cleanly. There was no exposure. When I started OrganiCycle, the idea was to have that same style model, and that is, yes, food waste can be smelly, it can be bad, unpleasing. So I wanted to create something that was easy to do, easy to handle, and mess-free. And so there were a lot of failures in the beginning, and that wasn't always the case at times. But over several years of trying to perfect it, I think I kind of figured it out.
Well, let's talk about that process. So basically, I guess people who don't want to do compost, like I've heard they attract rodents and it smells and it's in your, so it's like you can sort of understand why people are like, I'll just put it in the garbage, that's easier.
Yeah, well, that same material attracts rodents and smells in a garbage can as well. And so
good point.
And I think people kind of forget about that. But the reality is that if I should also stipulate that here in Grand Rapids, we've had a recycling program for the last 30 years where we've been conditioned to make choices with our trash, where recycling is sort of the norm. And so asking our community to do one step more has been kind of easy, and therefore has removed some of the obstacles. Regarding the odors and the pests and the unwantedness of what composting can bring to the table, you deal with that with communicating best practices on cleaning your carts. One of the things that we felt was really important for our program is to institute or to accept compostable materials like compostable bags and cups. The bags allows a customer to be able to collect the product, have it be kind of mess free, and kind of make it similar to the trash industry. And so that avoids a lot of that as well. But, general maintenance and cleaning of the bin would get rid of most of those problems.
Yeah, well, and the fact that we haven't really described how it works, but you come and you take it away and
Right.
do it off-site, right?
Yeah, so I structured this to be very familiar to either the trash industry or to the recycling industry. Each customer gets a cart or two, or depending on how many is needed. I should preface this by saying, OrganiCycle is a company that provides residential and commercial pickup. And so for residential accounts, it's generally one cart tipped once a week. But for some of our larger commercial accounts, we'll analyze how much waste is being collected or needs to be collected, determine the number of carts, and determine the number of tip days. And so it's very familiar to what someone knows, or how they work their trash recycling.
Putting stuff at the curb.
Yeah, exactly. And then we also kind of take a step further too by communicating with our customers what we see and what we don't want in our carts, with either by calling them or placing cards at the cart to communicate some of the things that we're seeing that we don't want. Our drivers are on the front line of the contamination model, so to speak, as far as keeping it out of our site. And when they get out, and that's been by design. That's why we use carts and not dumpsters. With a dumpster, typically a garbage truck with front loaders will pick that up. No one knows what's going inside. When we use a cart, our drivers come out, they check it out, they see if they can pick out any trash if they can, and then they can communicate to the customer any problems. And so then that product then is delivered to our site just outside Grand Rapids, where then we can start managing that. So that's sort of the service.
Educate me, like what's the life cycle of a compost pile?
So I always say I'm sort of the circus clown of OrganiCycle. The real magic's being done by my composter, Greg Mankowski. I know just enough to be dangerous at a cocktail party, so I'm going to give you my best, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Typically, once the collected material is dumped at our site, it is then kind of blended with some carbon materials from the composter and placed into windrows. We are doing it the slow and go. It's kind of like a crock pot. And that is, we set it in windrows. We fluff it up every once in a while with a front loader to kind of inject some oxygen to kind of keep it life going on. Perhaps it may need some water if it gets too hot or too dry. And if it gets too wet, then we make sure that we add some more carbon material to kind of balance those temperatures out. From start to finish, we're looking at around 5-6 months before we screen the product. And then once we determine that it's ready for screen, we rent a trommel screen, which then will give us our finished product.
Nice. And where does the finished product go? Is it distributed locally, or is it all?
So what we do is we work with area farmers and landscapers on our finished product, and we provide it in bulk. We have actually partnered with one of our customers, a local brewery here in town called Founders, where they sell bags of our compost at their retail store. That's awesome. And you can also buy compost off our website.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. I mean, I'm not like a waste management expert, so tell me how the scaling journey has gone for you since 2011 as far as acquiring new customers and growing. So
as I indicated before, as an entrepreneur, you look for niches, you look for ways to make money, or revenue for your business, and you try to develop your best practices. In 2011, when I started OrganiCycle, the concept really was finding a customer that wanted a product to be picked up and moved to another location. That other location was a third-party composter who was willing to take my product and to do with it what you wanted to do with it. And in this case, it would have been to compost the material. So the journey for me really was, hey, I'm just helping people move their organics and their food from one place to another. And hopefully I'm making more money than I'm spending. That is your typical path when it comes to haulers, when it comes to the waste management. Unfortunately, around 2019, our partner in composting no longer could compost our material. And we were kind of stuck with a huge problem because we had a pretty large list of customers with a lot of waste being collected on a daily basis, and we had no place to go. So out of necessity, I had to start up my compost facility. As you indicated before, I may not have wanted to been in the compost industry in 2011. I can tell you this, I never wanted to be making compost. That was for someone else to do. These hands never got dirty. And I really didn't want it to start. However, we were in a bind, and we were fortunate to find a partner, a farmer in the Walker area, Walker, Michigan area, who sat on 40 acres of land. His name is Don Crowley. He owns a tree farm and a landscape here locally, and he took the chance. We didn't know each other we didn't know each other. And he took a chance on our idea, and he said, yeah, I'll help you get this started. And through trial and tribulations, we developed some best practices, and we went ahead and hired a master composter to complete the making or the management of our compost. And it was there where all of a sudden everything clicked for me. And I think it's important to know, given the nature of my business, reducing landfills, transferring waste, really, in essence, recycling material.
Yeah. I
found myself on a lot of emails. How can we do better? How can we reduce landfills? How can we change the world? And these emails came every year from the exact same people with the same solutions and the same ideas. And it was not really moving the ball forward. And so when I started to recognize and see that the material that we're collecting from our customers going to be dumped at our compost site, watching the composter manage it and manipulate it and to add and to mix our product to see an end product like compost that can be used for the farmers in the area to grow more product and to grow trees and food, that changed my perspective on what it is that OrganiCycle is all about. It changed my mind frame of I went from being a hauler to someone who can solve problems. And that's how we look at OrganiCycle today. So we completely rebranded everything that we did. Our logos, we changed our logo, we changed our mission. Not only are we providing service, but we believe it's important to provide education to the public, whether you're a customer or not. We think it's really important to have transparency, so we have site tours as much as we can so that people can see the transformation right in front of their eyes. And not to mention, it was important for us to give composting credibility and to show the importance and the benefits that composting can bring to a community. And so we're a different company in the last 4 years just by the fact that we started up our own compost facility. And now we've expanded. We've expanded throughout West Michigan, Southern Michigan, and we're looking to expand throughout the whole state and beyond. And we have also seen significant changes from this movement, from our side of things, where composting is more acceptable than it was in 2010. And that we believe in the next 5 years, you're going to see just an absolute groundswell of accepting this idea.
Wow.
And we're ready for it.
That's awesome. So let's talk the marketing side of things a little bit, just because that's what I know, what I'm talking about. But how do you, I mean, I'm sure it's very different now than it was in the beginning, but like, what's maybe the current bottleneck in reaching new ideal customers and maybe your commercial ones versus your residential?
So, all right, that's a great question. Because in the beginning, when I told people what I was doing, they looked at me like I was crazy. And it was the residential accounts that helped me get this started. They were the ones who've always bought into composting. They're the ones who always wanted to see it in our community. And I knew that any commercial account that came on board, they probably had some type of a sustainability initiative that they felt that they had to get behind. but there wasn't a lot of push for it, and there wasn't a lot of demand for it. So my residential
Right.
accounts are really important for OrganiCycle, and the growth of OrganiCycle. I will also say back in the beginning, trash rates or landfill rates were here in Michigan were roughly $22 a ton. And there wasn't a lot that we could do because those rates were locked from a previous bill back in the 70s. And I don't know if your listeners know much about Michigan and in the landfills, but rates were so low that we would be accepting, and we still do accept out of state and even Canada's trash because
Wow.
it's so
It's so
inexpensive.
cheap to put it there.
Yeah. So it was tough to be competitive with my service with trash, especially when you didn't have a mind frame of we need to be doing better. So we needed to take time. We needed to get out there and really spend the time and put the effort into changing minds and hearts. Now, trash rates have doubled in the last 10 years. They're looking to get even more, and that is to encourage more people to look into recycling and to compost. So I see that as a really important step for the composting industry to be competitive and to offer a service that can be inexpensive. The idea is that if you take on a composting program, we can divert your food waste, but we can also take some paper waste and some other recyclable materials. And you can incorporate those cost cuts by reducing your own trash at the workplace. Perhaps you reduce a tip if you're a larger customer of a dumpster. Perhaps you move down a size from an 8-yard to a 6-yard.
Right.
Those are what we're trying to talk about with our commercial accounts to show how affordable and how important it is to take on a composting program. We also think it's important that we communicate the benefits of what this can do. Number one, no one wants more landfills in their backyard.
That's true.
And including large corporations and other manufacturing and other businesses. The reality is you don't see too many corporations setting up business next to a landfill.
Yeah.
You also want to have employees that want to work for an organization knowing they're doing something that's important for the community. So it keeps your employees there, it attracts employees. You can market your sustainability initiatives on what to the community, to your customers, to your vendors, and let them know what you're doing to help with the concerns and problems in our area, and how you're helping improve the environment. And not to mention, if there are some sustainable initiatives that your company has put in place, this certainly helps you reach those goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's only going to continue to be more important to future employees and the public at large as the years go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does the next 6 months to a year look like for you?
Well, I think there's more growth involved. Expanding our markets to areas that are very unfamiliar to the composting service. Reaching out to organizations that just have never been hit with the idea or even the decision to come on board with composting. I also think I think the next 6 to 12 months, you're going to start seeing more partnerships with municipalities here in Michigan on providing access for their residents to have some type of a food drop receptacle or program in their neighborhood or in their community to help with diverting more waste from the landfills. We are here in Michigan are kind of at a crisis mode here because landfills are reaching capacity at record levels. Not all of them, but many of the municipality landfills are coming close. Here in Kent County, it's been said that we're 5 years away before reaching capacity. And so the state of Michigan is doing what they can to try to make these changes and to help people understand really the benefits of diverting their waste from composting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I learned this statistic from a previous guest we had on, but I did not know that emissions from a landfill is higher than like the methane from cows that we all kind of freak out about. That's
Yeah.
like the landfill is worse. Like let's solve this problem first, and it's a solvable problem that has solutions that we can already be doing.
Well, I appreciate that because you're right. The food that goes into a landfill, and again, this is where I'm dangerous for up to a limit because I don't know the
Well,
biology
same.
about it. But the food is creating part of the greenhouse gases that are,
Yep.
are resulting in some of the problems that we see in the environment, but not, regarding the air, the land, and our water systems. You know, we tax dollars pay to keep that clean as well. So that's another reason why commercial accounts should be looking at this more than they normally do. The reality is that, that's your major problem. That's your major issue right there is the landfills as far as causing issues with the environment. And what I kind of talk about is there is this effort to try to make everything better tomorrow. What I think is really important for people to understand is that over time, if you give it a chance, you'll get there. But you can make an immediate impact right now with taking part of a compost program, because removing that food waste out of that landfill will, even if it's just 1%, will make a significant change. And having a compost program with your organization or at home will help solve that problem.
Yeah. Well, I want you to expand so much that you're coming here to Utah, and I will be your first customer.
I look forward to that. Yeah. What is Utah's program like? Are they open to it?
I'm sure there are pockets that are,
Yeah.
but we're an interesting state. We've got a pretty big mix here. So, like some communities still don't have a great recycling program,
Right.
and other ones, like closer to the city, it's getting better and better every year. But yeah, I'm gonna go look up to see if we have anything. It's like
Right.
I'm not aware that we do. So
Yeah.
okay, well, I got maybe one last question
Yeah.
for you. So, if you could solve one problem magically overnight, what would that be?
Oh, wow. Well, what it would be is if everyone can learn what products, what items are compostable, what's acceptable. There's more items than you can imagine that can be composted. It is all your food, it is paper, and it is yard waste. And that is a lot. That makes up a great amount of product that ends up in a landfill that is causing major problems with our communities. But if knowing what's acceptable, it's really, if I can wave my wand, is for people to learn what's not acceptable. And that is plastic, glass, and general trash. In that way, and the reason that would be beneficial is because I think if we can work on keeping the contaminants out, I think you're going to have more composters that are open to this idea. Generally,
It's such a huge barrier because they
it's a
just don't
huge
want to be
barrier.
sifting through people's trash.
That's right.
Yeah.
Now we're committed to it, and our business plan is built to have to take part on a weekly basis to sift through trash to make sure that any contaminants that make it through our yard is getting taken out. We have a commitment to our landlord. We have a commitment to our neighborhood and to our community to make sure that the landfill or that our compost site is clean and looks clean, and it has an appeal to it, and that includes odor as well. So we work really hard at that. But yeah, I think if that magic wand could work, that's what I'd want, and maybe win the lottery.
You say lottery, and I'm like, you need a celebrity or something to come.
Yeah. Someone that can champion our cause. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, very cool.
Well, you're got to be right. You're kind of coming
Oh
close to
yeah,
celebrity
celebrity
status.
status.
So
This
yeah.
close.
So here's a start right here.
All right. Well, we will make sure that we spread the message as much as we are able, for sure.
Yeah, you bet.
So, yeah. Well, I so appreciate the work that you're doing, and I thank you so much for telling us about it and for being passionate about it and being committed to kind of do the hard thing you didn't want to do, but it seems like it's turned into a passion now.
Yes, it certainly has, and you can always look us up on the website or online, and you can request questions or how you might be able to put together a program for your community. But I do think that this is something that if you aren't familiar with it now, you will be within the next 5 years, and I think that's great.
I think that's great too.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again, Dan.
Yeah, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
If today's conversation with Dan Tietema inspired you to rethink where your food waste goes, check out OrganiCycle.com to learn more about their programs and resources. Whether you're a business, a household, or a city looking to start composting, their model offers a cleaner, easier way to make an impact. And as Dan says, the next 5 years will be a turning point for composting, so why not start now? Thanks for listening to Green Disruptors. Until next time, keep innovating for a greener world.